This is a steak burrito bowl with guacamole from Chipotle, and it cost a grand total of $15.16. And this is also a steak burrito bowl I made from the comfort of my own home, and it cost me only $5 to produce. You give a man a Chipotle bowl and he eats for a day. Teach a man how to make his own Chipotle bowls and he feeds himself for life. Now let's go! Now the first thing we need to do today is make this Chipotle marinade. It's a marinade I've been making for years and years whenever I want to do carne asada, and it absolutely slaps you in the face with flavor. Another beautiful thing about this preparation is it doubles as a salsa. So we're making a marinade here, but I'm doubling the amount so we can save half and use it as our salsa. And this eliminates quite a bit of work when it comes to making this specific recipe. I'm starting here with cumin and coriander that I just toasted in a dry pan on low to medium heat for about 5 minutes. The full recipe is always going to be in the description under the video. And I'm now doing that in both imperial and metric systems. So no matter where you're watching from, you'll be able to do this. And I'm just going to grind this up quite a bit. The molcajete will make quick work of it. A lot of people make fun of me because this thing is too small, and they are right. It is. Next, we're adding garlic and shallots, but you can absolutely just use onions. And now I'm going in with a tiny bit of flaky salt. This is just to help it grind, because as you'll see later, we're getting our salt from another source, but adding that little bit of coarse salt in here really helps pull out some of that moisture and just help this grind up so much faster. And I know right now you may be thinking, wow, Sonny, you're the most handsome bald dude I've ever seen in my life. And while that's cool and all, you might also be thinking, can I do this in a blender or like a RoboCoupe instead of doing this because it's a lot of work? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But I will say there is some sort of magic that happens when you do things by hand. I don't know what it is, but things just taste a little bit better. And once that's coarsely ground like so, I'm gonna be adding in my cilantro stalks. A lot of people throw cilantro stalks away. I really don't know why, because they're absolutely delicious and there's no reason to do it. I'll grind these in for about a minute. Next, we're going in with our chipotles, which if you've never had chipotle, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. It's a smoked jalapeno and adobo sauce, and God, I love them. That's really what makes the flavor here so good. So jam these in. And my recipe calls for a 1/4 cup of chipotle peppers. If you're super sensitive to spice, maybe do 2 tablespoons instead of a 1/4 cup, which is half the amount. On another note, if you've been cooking for any amount of time, you know that chilies are not equal in their spice levels. Sometimes you get a can that's really spicy, sometimes one is pretty mild. You really need to taste it and see, because they differ a lot. Next, we're going in with a little bit of Sergeant Gilbert reporting for duty. That's just black pepper. And in a salsa like this, I really go for sort of coarsely ground pepper. You really don't need it to be super fine here. The next ingredient we're going in with is soy sauce. And let me tell you something, friends. This really is the secret ingredient when it comes to this recipe. The umami punch you get from this soy sauce, salt will never give you, and you won't even be able to really taste it or detect it. You're just gonna say, damn, that tastes good. Next, we're going in with a whole bunch of lime juice. I just squeezed these off camera. Squoze in them? I don't know. Squeeze. We're gonna go ahead and mix that in. Basically now it's like we're building a vinaigrette, right? We just put our acidic ingredients, which is the lime juice, and now we're gonna slowly start streaming in our avocado oil, which is the final ingredient of this marinade. You just wanna go little by little so you make sure it emulsifies in nicely and doesn't end up as a really broken sauce. Although a little split is fine, that looks cool, but we do wanna bring this together. And once that's roughly together, that's literally all she wrote. Go ahead and give this a taste. Dude, it's been a minute since I made this. God damn, it's good. And this is perfect timing for you to learn this recipe before summer. It tastes amazing. Please make it. The next thing we need to do is marinate our meat, and the Mexicans are absolutely gonna hate me for this because I'm about to reveal their secret weapon for carne asada. I'm sorry. Drum roll, please. Actually, I'm the drummer. Flap steak. Flap steak is their secret weapon for carne asada. Trust me, go read the comments and you will see. Now, this stuff is really gained in popularity over the years. You used to be able to get it for really cheap. It's definitely just skyrocketed in recent years, but you can still buy this here in America anywhere from $10 to $16 a pound. Unfortunately, I bought mine here in Austin, Texas at Central Market. If you know anything about Central Market in Austin, Texas, you know I overpaid. So mine was like $16 a pound, but we'll just average it out for this video and we'll say like, I don't know, $12.50, let's say. And now I have a vac pack machine, so I'm actually gonna use that for marinating this. I know most of you don't, so you can just do this in any old container. And I'm gonna put on probably about 1/3 of my marinade here, slash salsa. Don't need that much. So much flavor in this. That's about good. And we'll go ahead and seal it up. But if you do have a vac pack machine, that is a great way to marinate meat because it actually starts breaking down the very cell walls of the food that's inside of here, and it really penetrates deeper. But either way, it's gonna be delicious. Marinate it for at least 2 to 3 hours. Overnight is best. Next, let's cook our rice. I'm just using regular old long grain rice, whatever one fancies you. And whenever you're cooking any kind of rice, with the exception exception of these specific sticky rices in some Asian cultures, you should always start by washing it. You want to rinse this out about 3 times. And what I like to do is start by just adding a little bit of water, just about like that. And then what I want to do here is just mix the rice gently with my fingertips. And that little bit of water makes it so the rice will really grind against itself and release all that starch. After a few seconds of mixing, we're going to fill back up now, maybe about halfway with fresh water, another little mixy. Then we'll dump that out and repeat the process 3 times. And I have no idea what Chipotle does when it comes to their rice, but for me, I'm just going in with some chicken stock. And then we're gonna add a little bit of butter once it's done cooking. That combo, chicken stock, butter, rice, delicious. And I'll show you what I do for the measurement. A lot of people don't like this, but it absolutely works. Take a second and look at your finger right now. You will notice a line right about here. If you don't see that line, I don't know, you should probably go to the doctor or something. It should be there. And so what people will say is to measure that much liquid above your rice, although I go a little bit less, which for me is just a little below my nail. And I've never actually done this, so it's your lucky day, but if I actually measure that out, it is just a little bit over a half an inch, 5/8 of an inch, right? Yes, something like that. And unless you have some kind of super finger, you're gonna be good. Literally all you need to do is stick your finger in and just see where that water is coming up to. So right about there, absolutely perfect. And here's my process for stovetop rice. We start on high heat. Now, most importantly, never remove that lid during this process. And as soon as you see that steam around the sides, you know it's boiling. At this point, turn the heat all the way down to low and start a 10-minute timer. Now, you may be sitting there thinking to yourself, man, Sonny is looking jacked lately. And while that's true, you may also be thinking, why can't I just use a rice cooker? And the answer is you absolutely can, but I do prefer stovetop rice. There is something I've noticed about rice cookers that is kind of alarming. Sort of in the last year, I noticed that my rice cooker was overcooking rice, if that makes sense. It starts this like 45-minute, hour-long process, and by the time it's done, I feel like it's just dried out too much. I still do use it for sushi rice, but I actually really prefer this stovetop method. It's the best. Now, while that cooks, I thought it might be fun to call my mom and see how she says the word Chipotle, because moms just say it in the funniest way. And if your mom says it in a funny way, let us know in the comments. Hopefully she picks up. Gosh. Hey, Mom.
Hi.
Hey, you know that Mexican restaurant? It's like I'm trying to think of the name of this restaurant. I know you know what it is. It's a chain that serves Mexican food.
Chipotle.
Once the timer has elapsed, now I want you to kill the heat completely, meaning turn it off, keep that lid on, do not touch it, and start another 10-minute timer. And that final 10 minutes is absolutely crucial because it's the time where we just allow that rice to steam and continue cooking. Final 10 minutes has elapsed and our rice is done. At this point, you can go ahead and remove that lid. And now the last thing I do is throw in a couple tablespoons of butter, quite a lot of rice here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and give this a little mix. You can see how fluffy this rice is. That little bit of fat in the rice from the butter really does it for me. I don't know, it changes the whole texture of the rice and just makes it so I can feel each individual grain in my mouth. It's kind of a strange observation, but it really is true if you tune into that. And once that butter is worked in, I'm just gonna go ahead and spread out my rice and just let it continue to sit here and steam a little bit. And these flavors of chicken stock and butter combined with that technique is gonna give you this rice that's somehow pretty fluffy, but also it retains a lot more moisture to me than cooking it in the rice cooker. That rice cooker to me dries it out. I don't know if it's my specific rice cooker, but I do really prefer this method. Now, before moving on, a quick word from one of my favorite sponsors of all time, Trade. And you know, personally, it is pretty rare that I actually go out and get a coffee at a coffee shop. I am really into brewing my own coffee at home, and that is why I love this company so much, because they have shown me by far the best beans I've tried while living here in Austin, Texas. Trade is a coffee subscription service that delivers fresh coffee from the best roasters across the country right to your door. And you may be wondering what makes Trade so special, and one of the main reasons is they roast their coffee beans fresh to order before shipping to you. And if you know anything about coffee, you know that fresh roast is absolutely the way to go for peak enjoyment. I mean, the flavor and aroma is truly off the charts. And it doesn't really matter what type of coffee you're into, whether that be espresso or cold brew, Trade has got you covered. And normally I'm strictly an espresso guy, but with that warmer season on the way here in Texas, I've been leaning more toward iced coffee, and thanks to Trade's cold brew roast, I can now easily make my own at home. And if you've never made cold brew, the process is extremely simple. You just scoop the coffee, add water, and chill overnight. It really is as simple as that. Not only did this cold brew taste really strong, but it had so much flavor. And I'll tell you what, Trade's prices are really on par with what you would pay at the grocery store, but the quality of Trade is like way up here. They really do have the best beans. And for a limited time, Trade is giving away a free Harrio cold brewer when you sign up for a cold brew subscription when you go to drinktrade.com/ThatDudeCanCook. That's drinktrade.com/ThatDudeCanCook to get your free cold brew maker with select cold brew subscriptions. Thank you, Trade, for sponsoring this channel. Now let's get back back to the recipe. Now our next component here is gonna be some good old-fashioned beans. These are just cheap canned beans. And my tip for you when choosing them is just to look at the ingredients and just make sure it says water, beans, and salt, because you'd be surprised how many other things end up in these canned products. It's totally dumb. And another rule I have with beans is always taste the water that they're in. This is especially important when you use chickpeas for making hummus. To me, this just tastes good like salty bean water, but if that tasted really weird, I would actually strain off the water that was with the beans in the can and then put some fresh water or stock to heat these up. But of course you know that because you're subscribed to this channel, so you get all these free daily tips just like all the time. Now the next topping we're gonna make is some simple pico de gallo. I'm starting here with just some diced Roma tomatoes. They've been de-seeded, meaning I'm just using the edge of that tomato. And to that, I'm just adding some raw onion. This is red onion. I don't think that's traditional. You could use white, but red's fine too. A little bit of diced jalapeno, seeds removed, some cilantro, whole bunch of lime juice, and some salt. Then just give this all a really good mix, and that's your pico de gallo done. And this isn't traditional, but I add just a couple teaspoons of olive oil. Could use another oil. I just like that little bit of sort of like vinaigrette it forms with the lime juice. But again, you really don't need to do that. And this is the kind of pico de gallo everybody knows about, but personally, I really love making some with a cucumber or mango or pineapple, meaning just switch out the tomato for one of those three things, and then the rest of the ingredients stay the same, and those are really delicious too. So if you want to switch it up, say you love cucumbers or you love mango, you could use that too, or even combine those things with tomato. Last thing you need to do is just be a good cook, taste everything you make, bright, vibrant, seasoned nicely. Delicious. Next up, we're gonna do a really simple cabbage and lime salad. And this is honestly one of my favorite ways to eat cabbage, and it's extremely simple. I'm gonna take a whole little cabbage here, straight in half, put that on its side. And what we wanna do here is sort of remove that core. From here, then I'll cut those into quarters. And then from there, you can absolutely just use a chef knife like this. And if you're careful, you can get it really thin. And I don't care if you do it this fast. If that's where you're at, that's where you're at, you know? You don't just start going really fast, right? You have to work your way up. There's no shame in this. Another way to do it is to use a mandolin. This will give you professional chef-like cuts without actually having to have those professional skills. And to be quite honest, all professional chefs use these just because of the ease and the consistency. I'll put a link to this exact one down in the description. This is the only one I've ever bought. I'm sure there's other good ones, but this is sort of industry standard in restaurants. It's called Ben Renner, the company. And basically with this, you just slide up and down. Always do a few test cuts, adjust to where you want it. This is gonna be pretty thin. So something like this looks good. And then you just literally just do this, just slice, and it makes perfect little cuts. Now you'll see a lot of chefs go all the way down with whatever they're slicing, and they'll never use a guard. I think it's like this sort of, you know, cool chefy thing to do. Like it's that one of those little ego things, right? But personally, I always use a guard when I get down to the bottom. Guess what? In 20 years of professional cooking, literally a dozen restaurants all around the world, never once have I cut myself on a mandolin. I'm pretty proud of that fact. And then all I do is toss this in a bowl. Watch how easy this is. I'll tell you what, this is insanely good. The trick is keeping it all nice and thinly sliced. We just go in with some fresh lime juice, nice bit of salt, and a little touch of olive oil, and then just simply give it a little mix. I don't have an exact recipe for this salad because it's just something I throw together. And with this, of course, you could add cilantro or herbs or other vegetables if you like, but I just keep it really simple. We already have a lot of components on the bowl. Give it a taste, a little more oil, good on the lime. Absolutely zingy, peppy, delicious. And the cabbage has wilted down while remaining a little bit of crunch. I actually think this is best about 10 to 15 minutes after you make it. Right when you mix it, it's a little too hard, and later on, it gets way too soggy and soft. So if you can time it with the rest of your food, that's best. And speaking of perfect timing, if you are a fan of gaming like I am, definitely subscribe to my new gaming channel. It's called That Dude Can Game. It's the gaming section of this whole universe. We're having a blast over there. I know you're gonna love it. The link will be in the corner as well as below in the description. And the last thing we need to do, of course, is cook our flap steak. For this, I'm using a grill pan. A lot of people seem to sort of knock on grill pans. I'm actually kind of a fan of these when I don't want to just fire up the grill, but obviously that is going to be best cooked over charcoal, wood, out on the grill. Having said that, I have cooked this very recipe in this very pan so many times, and it always works out really good. I've had it preheating for like literally 8 minutes because it's so thick. Now we're going to lay in our beef away from you. And after about 3 minutes, I'm going to give it a quarter turn. Another 3 minutes, we're going to go ahead and give this a flip. Got a decent little bit of char on here. That is going to add some nice flavor. And I'll follow that exact same process on the other side. So 3 minutes, quarter turn, 3 minutes. For a total of 6 minutes on each side. But keep in mind, this is a big old thick piece of flap steak. If you're using a thinner steak, you might be able to just do it all in the pan much quicker. Because mine's so thick, I'm going to put it in a 375-degree oven until it's done. 10-15 minutes in the oven depending on your size, and it hit 128 Fahrenheit internal. Take it off, let it rest for at least 10 minutes, preferably longer, up to 20 even. I let mine rest for 20 minutes. I'm really hoping this is sort of more towards medium in here. I didn't want it to be too rare because flap tends to get a little chewy when it's on the rarer side. And I see the grains are running sort of like this on this steak. But what I'm gonna do is first slice this way into these sort of 1-inch strips. Then we'll turn and slice into our little steak cubes. Looks absolutely delicious to me. Of course, if you want it cooked a little less or a little more, go for it. It's still gonna be really good. If you wanna cook it all the way through, I will not fault you for it. I mean, after all, this is carne asada type meat. Now let's plate up our burrito bowl next to Chipotle's and see exactly how much our ingredients cost. Our rice cost a grand total of 25 cents. My meat was the most expensive at $4.89. The cabbage was 12 cents. The pico de gallo, 51 cents. Avocado, 44 cents. Cheese, 21 cents. Salsa, 78 cents. And beans, 28 cents, which brings the grand total of our burrito bowls up to a total cost of around $7.50, but that is not the weighted price. More on that in a minute. And here is the steak bowl from Chipotle here in Austin, Texas. It cost exactly $11.25. I added guacamole for $2.75, which brings our subtotal up to $14 and then $1.16 tax for a grand total of $15.16. All right, Marcus, here we go. Do you like Chipotle?
I don't eat it that much, but my friends love it.
I used to love it. When I left California, I couldn't get the burritos anymore, but I'm gonna try their meat first. Let's diagnose this meat.
Oh, you're going...
Their carne asada is good. It tastes good. Let's see here. Let's try their salsa. I mean, it's got some of their red salsa. I don't know how hot that one is, but let's try that. So I have to be honest, I can't really say that this is bad. It doesn't taste bad. It tastes pretty good, but it's very sort of, I don't know, just maybe a little above mediocre. And I know after 2 or 3 bites what the entire bowl is gonna taste like. It's fine, but it did cost 15 whatever, you know? Yeah. Okay, there's our burrito bowl. And by the way, we're doing all the measurements here in a second, but I would guess that's 30 to 40% bigger than the Chipotle one. Just by looking at it, I took exact weight, so I'll tell you. Let's try our carne asada.
Bigger chunks, better flavor.
Dude.
Way better flavor.
That carne asada, the flap steak, with that marinade, and then the marinade as the salsa back on top after you cook it, it's like double flavor.
I just ate the steak again.
It's not bad, dude,
No,
this steak.
no, you actually are giving it more credit than I think I am.
It's not bad.
Ours tastes way better. That one's like, I don't know. There's something weird about it.
Love the spice level. I mean, it's like below my tolerance. It's there, but it's not overpowering.
Ours is brighter, bigger, bolder flavors, more customizable. Just is better. And also, you're just paying for the steak and it's worth steak for more money.
Now for the most important part, let's get to the exact weight and the exact price of what this bowl right here cost me. Okay, my friends, the numbers have officially been crunched and here are the results. Now I know in the very beginning of this video, I said my bowl cost $5 and that was in fact true, but also a lie. Let me explain. I essentially just weighed out both of the bowls and then minus the weight of the bowl itself. And I essentially just put in about 30% more food into the bowl that I made, making the total cost about $7.50. But if you go weight for weight, it's $5 to make the bowl I made today. And I can only imagine if I'm paying $5 to make one of these bowls at home, can you imagine what Chipotle is paying to make one of their bowls with all the wholesale deals they have with purveyors and all that stuff? And of course, they have a lot of other costs associated with running a business, but at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot of rice in there, and I guarantee you their food cost is really low on those bowls. Well, that's it for today, my friend. I hope you're inspired to make some burrito bowls of your own. Definitely check out my gaming channel, link down in the description. You'll also find my ebook down there titled Master in the Making. You are the master in the making. I'm trying to get you there, and there are 55 of my personal favorite recipes down there. And if you want to keep learning today, here are 2 summer forward recipes I know you're gonna love. Until next time, you know I love you and I'm out.